You've just heard Lucky Strike, played by Ken Murray and friends, and ushering in another Missions. And I'm thrilled to say we have two live guests in the booth. Today we have Frank and Jamie.
Good evening, Stephen and Frank. And I'm very lucky to be here.
Yeah, it's
That's
all happening.
I feel it's been such a long time waiting.
Oh, far too long.
I've been looking forward to so much.
Yes.
Let me say good evening also.
Yeah.
To everyone.
That's right.
To the listener and, of course, to each other here.
Of course. Yes, indeed. Oh, look, it's a good thing. It's been a long time coming. We've had so much water pass under the bridge and so much has happened. It's been like a dream.
Great to be together again.
I think it was July sometime when I was last here.
Was it?
It might have been.
So,
yes.
7 months ago.
Something like that.
Yeah.
While back. Well, it's all very exciting because Jamie's come in with a bag full of records, and we don't know it's a lucky dip scenario. We remained in suspended animation.
I'll tell you what, Steve. I've had this bag of records, and I have been little things that I've found. I've been putting in this bag, thinking that next time that I do emissions, I'm just going to bring along a bag of sort of recent finds.
Okay, so this has been an evolving situation.
Well, yes, you see, I can hear them, and then you see, I can take them home and put them away.
Yeah,
because I played them.
Yes, makes sense. All right.
So it's a little bit of a program of difference, but. Okay. It'll be a mixture of jazz and Australian and all sorts of other bits and pieces.
It's all nostalgia and it's all interesting. That's great, Jamie. We look forward to it very much. And on the table, we've got a Summit record.
Yes, these Australian Summit pressings. And what we're going to hear is Joel Shaw and his orchestra. Now, we could probably play both sides, I think, Steve. Business in F and Business in Q.
Yep.
And these are, Joel Shaw is a pseudonym, I think, for a Dick Robinson combination from the Crown label, I believe.
Oh, okay. Oh, very good. Yeah. All right. Well, it sounds interesting. It's an unusual record. It's a shellac-coloured record. It's not a black 78.
Is it a brown Summit?
Yes, it is. It's a brown Summit from what year? About
1931, thereabouts.
Okay.
Depression era.
Sure. All right. Let's have a listen to kick off our program. Welcome, gentlemen.
Give me that business in them. Feet are tappy. Make it snappy. Keep me happy. Give me that business in them. Come on, start it. Moving easy. Come on now, make it breezy. Hit it, Dad. Don't you tease me. Oh, don't be hiding. Keep it sliding. Now you're riding. Give me that business in them.
Business in F with Joel Shaw and his orchestra on a Summit record.
Yeah.
Which, as I said, is a Dick Robinson combination on Crown. I think Crown's the US label. So,
great upbeat number to kickstart the program.
Sure was.
Now, we think we'll flip the disc and have a listen to what's on the other side.
Yes.
So, same band?
Business in Q with Joel Shaw, yes.
Okay, very good. All right, we'll do that now. We'll have a listen to side B. vk3sl, testing.
And we heard there from Joel Shaw and his orchestra and Business in Q. Interestingly enough, if you look that up on YouTube, you can find Business in F under Joel Shaw, but if you find the Business in Q, it's got some other backing over the top of, or some sort of other group over the top of Joel Shaw, and you can't find this version. You can only find this other version, which is very strange.
How unusual. Gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a bit of an anomaly.
There's a few Joel Shaw sides, on YouTube.
Sure. Okay.
Including Business in F. But I was just a bit annoyed that when I looked for Business in Q, as I say, I couldn't find a straight version of it with Joel Shaw.
Yeah, so an Australian Summit pressing of a Crown original from US sources. Great sound and burgeoning big band sound, really. It's sort of moving into the 30s and, good driving rhythms there.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's great. Great record. It's on a Summit. So, Joel Shaw.
And, I've got another one. If we get time, we might hear another one later.
Yeah, but, sure. Okay. All right. I'll just give that one back to you. The right side up.
I find the Australian, small labels like Summit and Angelus and...
Yes.
Panacord... all those Golden Tongue. There's a lot of interesting material on those labels.
On those smaller labels. Yeah.
And I don't think the Joel Shaw sides were issued on any other label here, only the Summits.
Okay.
So unlike a lot of groups, you find them on various labels.
Yes.
Under various pseudonyms.
Mm-hmm.
particularly on Embassy and Vocalian, etc. But for some reason, with some of these sides, you just don't see them on any other labels. So
Okay, yeah.
Which
No,
makes
that's
it a bit more obscure.
It does make it obscure. We're talking about obscure. In my hand, I have the rarest of the rare, an Austral Duplex 78 from the studios of 3PB in Bay Street, New Street, Bay Street,
Bay Street,
in Brighton, in from what 1924.
24, yes.
Yes, the beginning of broadcasting in Australia all happened at this particular establishment at 3PB. It's a great record cover because we've got a picture of the station with this big antenna and a radiated sign saying 3PB. And I was saying before, I'd love to have that on a T-shirt. It just looks so official.
You should get one made up.
I should get this image. Yeah, it's great. So Austral Duplex Records, it's all the sort of the brain wave of Mr. Pemberton Billing.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Is there anything else written on the cover, Steve?
Yeah, what does it tell us? It gives us the woe code guarantee.
Oh.
And it talks about not a lot else. Here we go. It just gives us out the Bay Street Brighton address. This is amazing to see this original. Now, you just don't see the original covers. And it says, under the call sign of 3PB, we broadcast from 8 till 10, including complete dance programs each evening, all of the latest hits. There we go.
And
so
they'd be playing all these Australs.
They'd be playing these Austral Duplex. Now, these records are incredibly scarce. They're cardboard records with a very thin substrate, and you just almost never see them. There's a picture on the other side of the World Record Controller and a little bit of a discussion about the recording studios. And but yes, it was both a studio, a broadcasting station, and record producing enterprise. And so this record here comes from, we're thinking from an Emerson Master.
Emerson Master, yes.
Yeah, so again from the US, and it's a track called "A New Kind of Man." So very carefully take this one out of the thing. It has got a needle dig, but it's been it's been filled. That's good. Yes, and so a 10-inch Austral Duplex. These are rare as rare as rare, and from 1924.
Hopefully it'll play over the dig.
Yeah, I hope so. Should do. We'll have to have a listen.
a new kind of man. They're from an Austral 10-inch 78, probably the original Memphis 5.
Yeah, we're just speculating on that. It's quite a sort of dynamic, syncopated performance there with with a bit of doo-wacka playing, very sort of symptomatic, it's of its time. But as you say, it's quite of the hotter records.
The other side is I Want to Be Happy, which we won't play, but which is a very popular tune, wasn't it, in its day?
Yeah, it certainly was.
And in fact, still is. They're still recorded, I think.
Do they?
I think so. It's got into the the whole sort of vernacular.
Yeah, sure. Okay, we'll just put this one back in its sleeve. So that incident, it was a Wokewood 78, and it was pressed in Brighton. That was the pressing plant there too? I think it was. So, yes, it's a product of 3PB, one of the very first broadcasting enterprises in Australia.
Wouldn't you like to have been around to see that?
Yes, indeed. I would have loved to have seen the whole setup there. But that was excellent. Thank you, Jamie. There we go. You got the right side up. And something. This is a real lucky dip. Every time a record's handed across, we have something tantalising, unusual. Yes. What's the story?
I don't really know the story behind this. It's The Girlfriend Parts 1 and 2. Now, can you read the label, Steve?
Yeah, all it says, it's a Union Theatres Cinesound Department. It's actually a shellac.
Yes.
I think. Yes, it is shellac. I thought it was an acetate, or a steel record. It's very heavy.
It is. Yeah.
And yes, Union Theatres, Cinesound Department. It says here, Girlfriend, Part 1, and from the Majestic Theatre.
So I actually don't know whether it's a parlophone with a stuck-on label, but listening to it, and this is where I like your opinion, it does sound like an Australian group. It's either Australian or a British group, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I really don't know the history, whether it was recorded here or whether it's an English recording that's been with a stuck-over label.
Sure. Okay, well, we'll have to have a listen and find out. But I've never seen these Cinesound Department discs before. It must have been a specialised... It feels very heavy.
It does, doesn't
it? Far heavier than... I don't think it'd be a parlophone.
What would the substrate be, Steve?
I'm wondering about that. It's some sort of vulcanite maybe, or some heavier material.
It's not metallic as far as you can tell.
Well, I thought it was a steel record at first.
Gosh.
It's that heavy.
Yeah.
But,
quite a thick record, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Yeah.
It's thick and it's very unusual. So it's written on pen on the label. So it evidently.
And you can't see anything in the matrix.
No, not at all. In fact, there's not. It's been recorded off some other source, I think.
If it was,
it's not pressed from a
If it was. If you had a magnet, you could tell if it was steel, couldn't you?
I don't think it's steel, but to me it just seems like some sort of film-associated disc, but I just don't know. And I suspecting it's Australian pressing, but I don't know.
Mystery record.
Indeed.
Well, let's have a listen. Find out. This is all very exciting. vk3sl testing. Might need a nudge, I think.
Come on,
yep,
start.
it's just in the outer groove.
there we have it. That's a quite an interesting record where we're trying to sort of come to terms with its source. I mean, is it British? It sort of sounds British.
It does sound British, doesn't it?
Yeah, and because there's no really strong identifying features on the disc at all, except that it says it's from the Majestic Theatre, and it looks like it's been dubbed from another source. There's no matrix stamp on it. Very heavy record.
Sydney Sound Department. See, that's... I was thinking... Sydney Sound Department could be Australian, but maybe not.
Sure. Yes, that's a good question. It's certainly unusual. There's nothing else on it.
It's definitely an English recording.
Yeah, I think it might be.
By the sound of it.
Yeah, no, there's no other identifying feature. It just says Majestic Theatre, Girlfriend Part 1, which we just listened to. Yeah.
We could hear Part 2, I think.
Well, look, why not? Let's have a listen to Part 2.
To complete the arrangement.
Yeah, I'm going to just quickly slot in a truncated Stardust to see if it plays a bit better.
Well, it's a little bit of a worn record, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll just try it this way. I'm just interested to see. It'll help me understand these new needles as well. So we'll put the truncated Stardust in.
Truncated will probably be better.
Yeah, truncated elliptical.
Because it'll ride up the groove a bit more.
Yeah, I think we'll try it that way and have a listen to Part 2 of The Girlfriend. An interesting rarity from Mr. J. Thank you.
It's an oddity, yes. Almost better than side one.
Yeah, look, that's a very slick performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really good. So, who was it? That's a big question mark.
It's got that Jack Hilton sound about it.
It has, hasn't it?
It does. Now, what we almost need something like Siri or one of those identifier programs.
Yeah.
I never forget sitting here one day with Henry, and he had a on the Apple device listening to and trying to see if we could identify. And I pulled out the rarest of, all sorts of unusual things on crazy labels.
Yeah.
And it got a lot of them right.
Did it really?
So it just goes to show how extensive those databases are.
Incredible stuff.
One thing it couldn't do, and I remember on missions you played the Aquarius, the Age of Aquarius LP.
Oh, yes.
Which, that version is the one I remember when I was very little.
Yeah.
And I can't find it anywhere on Spotify or anywhere. And I tried to get Siri to find it for me, and it could not find that version. There are other versions.
Okay.
But that's
that
the original
particular
version that was popular back in the
that's right.
early 70s.
Not on YouTube? Or?
No. I don't know about YouTube, but I couldn't get Siri to find it through iTunes or anything like that.
No.
Yeah, that was someone Kirshner Cuts Hair is on that was the name of that label.
Yes.
But
I think there's a more popular version or more contemporary version of it.
That's right.
Around, but that's the original, and I don't know why. Maybe there's copyright reasons or something like that.
It's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
You'd expect that to be there, but what we've just heard is something quite extraordinary. So we'll have to just keep our ears to the ground and see if we can.
Yes.
We can, flesh out the picture. Find out more about the girlfriend from the Majestic Theatre. The Union Theatre's Cinesound department, this record comes from, and it's really heavy. So we've got side one facing up there.
Side one facing me. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it is. It's quite a thick record.
It is,
with a stuck-on label.
It is.
Now, the next record is interesting. It's a bit of a rarity, and it's one of my favourite tunes. I like both sides, but it's Harvey Ball and his Virginians. Now, Harvey Ball was an American band leader who came out here in about 1927 and recorded two sides for Vocalion in Melbourne.
Wow.
And so we've got Mary, What Are You Waiting For? And on the other side is My Ohio Home, which was both popular hits, weren't they, in the 20s? They
certainly were, and I associate Mary with Mr. Paul Whiteman and Bing Crosby made a big hit out of the song. But wow, so this was recorded locally in Burke Street for Vocalion in 1928. Wow.
Have a listen to the bass in this recording.
Oh, good. All right. Well, it's got
a tight squeeze.
A tight one here.
Just be careful it doesn't crack.
I know, I don't want to crack the record. Okay, I think we're ready. It's sitting slightly proud, but we'll make it.
Might have to.
What do you
The Australian sound from 1928-ish.
28-ish, yes.
Yeah, there we go. Recorded in Burke Street, Melbourne.
Yes.
And it is an Australian sound, isn't it? It's got
and you can hear the carbon microphone, can't you?
Yes, you can. There's a particular ambience. And, wow, that is something special. And they were visiting. They did a tour.
They were out. Yes, he was out here for a tour. Yeah. And he made the one record. Wow. Oh dear!
So
it's a tight needs one of those little rat tail files.
Yes, it does. It doesn't quite fit the hole. No. But I'm keen to hear the other side of this. It's it's something quite special.
One of your favourite tunes from the 20s.
Yes, I like this tune, My Ohio Home. This is one of my personal faves. So here we go, in the groove. And this we're testing, of course, on 160 and on UHF vk3sl.
No boom at the end there.
No, and at the I like those chords at the end.
Isn't it great?
Yeah, what an arrangement! And that drummer was going to town. Boom. Yes, hitting his big bass drum right in front of the carbon mic.
Yeah, boom.
It could have been of course, the tram going around the junction.
That's true. he one of the Joe Watson sides. Is it the Alabama Stomp? I think it is.
Yeah.
You can hear the tram in the background, the cable tram.
Yeah, the cable tram going around the corner into Spencer Street.
Drummer would have been very good for shaking the carbon granules loose, you know.
Yes, that's true. We would have. But there's something quintessentially Australian about that sound. So, yeah. It's the sound of the Vocalion Studios in Burke Street.
Indeed.
As they were in the 1920s, local heritage. That is such an interesting rarity. I'm just, thrilled to hear that, really. I will listen. I'll do my forensic listens to that later as well.
I was very interested in a missions Mr. L had some months ago where he interviewed now a fellow who worked at Vocalion. I'm trying to think his name.
Mr. Goody.
Mr. Goody, yes.
Yeah.
And I
One
found
of the
that
goodies, was he?
I found that most fascinating listening to his recollections of the days, working at Vocalion.
He went right back to what?
To this era.
To this era, yes.
To moulded products.
Wow.
Yes.
I wish I'd heard that.
Yeah, and they used to press the records in Richmond, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yes,
and then
yes.
there was a fire, wasn't there?
Yeah, that's right, and it all came to a big stop.
All Vocalion and moulded products all went up
Yep.
in smoke.
Is that so?
Yeah.
When was that?
1932, I think.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was
what a
early 30s.
shame.
That's it. So, yes, unfortunately, it came to an abrupt end. But for a short time, there was a strong recording industry based through Vocalion in Melbourne. And now we go back to the earlier period again, another
Austral.
Another
Yes.
Austral duplex.
Yes.
And this one, a 10-inch woe cord. Back to 3PB in Brighton in 1924. Now, this is one of the rarest records in Australia.
This is this is actually Ray Talia at his San Francisco Orchestra out there in St Kilda. When he was out here for a couple of years, and he recorded for Austral and also Columbia when they started recording in. Was it 1925?
That yes, I think 26 or so.
26,
Yes, he went
yeah.
up to Sydney and made some records
He
for,
did, yes.
for Columbia.
Topeka and things like that. But this is, so that's my baby. Now, interestingly about this recording was that it was also available on Condor, and you see the Condor issues sort of more frequently.
Okay,
But this is the Austral release of the same record.
of the same stamp.
And of all the 10-inch Australs, which are usually American, there's only a couple that are Australians, and
Wow.
that's one of them. They're both Ray Talias.
How about that? All right. So, an American band who had a residency at the Palais.
In
We're
St
going to
Kilda.
hear something that is a snapshot of the Melbourne dance scene in the 1920s.
Indeed. Yes, sir, that's my baby.
Yes, and
I think it fits on the spindle, does it?
I think it does. Yes, I think we're right to go.
Now that sounded quite snappy, didn't it?
I
For an
thought so.
Australian recording.
Yeah, very upbeat, and a nice piano solo. We were sort of wondering, I think, was that Mr. Tellier himself? We think it might be on the piano.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, and
1924.
but this is just magic because we're playing the original disc, and it is a veritable time machine because we are transported back
It's nearly 100 years ago, you know,
is
because
incredible,
it's 2022.
Yeah,
and,
that is.
Yeah,
which
98, yeah.
is amazing to think about playing records that are nearly 100 years old. I remember when I started collecting records in probably 1979, 1980, and I was fascinated by the fact that I was playing records from the 1920s that were 50 years old.
Yes, yes.
And I used to think, wow, you know, that's a long time
50
ago.
years, it's so long ago.
Now I'm that age, and things not so long ago.
Yes, yes.
It all compacts, doesn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, so we're playing records that are, it's just amazing.
It is amazing, and just something about playing the original record to air sort of brings it to life even more. I think there's a certain sort of here's the disc for you.
Now, the next one is another, well, totally moving away from Australiana, but still in the 1920s. I've always been a big Al Bowley fan, I suppose, a collector. Not in the sense that I want to have every single 78 that he recorded, or every label or anything like that, but there is a lot of his records that I do like, and particularly the more obscure bands that he recorded with.
Yes.
I'm fascinated by, and love all the 1920s versions he did, but are very hard to find. Some of the Polydors and obscure bands he recorded with in the 30s.
Sure.
I mean, I know. Well, there's been a few big Al Bowley collectors around that I have known in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is a group that I've always particularly liked, Fred Elizalde and his music.
He's an interesting character, Mr. I can never quite get his name right.
Fred Elizalde.
Elizalde. Yes, he was Filipino, I think, or he had some connection with the Philippines, or he was part there, or he was born Spanish in the Philippines, maybe, or something. But he's classically trained. He spent a lot of time in England, and his arrangements are particularly interesting.
Great piano player. I've got quite a few M-Deckers of Fred Elizalde playing the piano.
Yeah, and yes, but he always had, always had interesting arrangements. He just had he had a searching imagination, and you always hear it. Everything he does, every chorus is interesting. It sort of takes you somewhere. It's not stock standard, and it's very much born of his. Of his influence.
Creativity,
yeah. So whenever I see an Elizalde record, I think, wow, this is going to be interesting. I'm never disappointed. So
they don't turn up here very often. The only ones I've seen here that we should hear were on M-Decker, which was the Multi Products Decker that we were talking about before. Yeah,
that's right.
But this is in English Brunswick, and it's a tune called Misery Farm, which is a bit of a novelty tune of the day, 1928.
Yes, and a young Al Bowley.
Al Bowley's on this, and we'll also play the B-side, but we'll talk about that after.
Yeah, I think so. Well, let's have a listen. Fred Elizalde and his music. Might need a nudge on this one.
Yeah.
There we go.
They're out in the
great signal to noise on this.
We've got a farm of a farm, right in the middle of a swamp. There ain't any charm in our little farm, right in the middle of the swamp. Nothing's grown since the day we came
is one excellent record.
Isn't that a nice record?
It is incredible. They are doing amazing things there. They are inspired. That band is...
It just moves along. It just gets better and better and better as the record goes on.
It certainly does. And those those choruses...
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's a fairly pedestrian tune.
Yes.
And Mr. Elizalde is he's just such a good arranger. And I just sense that the band really honour his work. And they play to...
They really take it to town, don't they?
They do.
Yeah. Lovely tight playing as well.
It is, very much so, Frank. I agree. And, lovely to hear Al Bowley. That's amazing.
He really brings it alive too, doesn't he?
He does. He's so musical. I always like Al.
Yes.
Yeah, well, what's on the other side?
The other side is a tune called I'm Sorry, Sally, which you think, this is going to be a boring record, and then again it comes to life. So I think we should have a listen to it.
Okay, sounds like a
with Al Bowley again.
Idea. Al Bowley at the helm. This is vk3sl testing. Okay, Jamie, you've inspired me. I'm going to do another program on Fred Elizalde and his music.
I'll make sure I listen.
It's another great arrangement. Fabulous stuff.
Isn't it?
Yeah. They're a really terrific group. They're very musical, very interesting. Every turn, something sort of grabs your attention. And that trumpet solo at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
I wonder who the trumpeter was.
I wonder. He really got the creme of English musicians in his group.
Yes, he did, didn't he?
And he was at the Savoy Hotel for a while.
That's right.
I think he had a tenure there for a bit, and I think that he was sacked because his music arrangements were just a little bit too
far out.
bit far out for them. People just thought they were a bit hot or a bit sort of here's the disc. Yeah.
I didn't quite understand what he was doing.
Yeah, that's it. So, most interesting.
But, lovely to hear Elizalde with Al Bowley as vocal. And
for sure. No, we'll have to underscore Elizalde as another missions topic, because he's one of the most interesting dance bands, English dance band. I think he went back to the Philippines and just did studio work in the later part of his career. I think
a shame.
It wasn't an enduring thing. It was just the flash in the pan.
Yes.
And but he did all the arranging himself, as I understood it. And I think he made quite a few piano recordings too, didn't he, James?
Yes, he did, yes.
Yeah.
What, solo?
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent pianist. And,
I should bring some of them along sometime.
Yeah, well, next time bring some along. Well, now
we're going to go back to Ray Charlier.
Yeah,
just
another
a bit
Australian rarity. Another in my hand. I've got an Austral duplex record, and yes, Ray Charlier's San Francisco Orchestra again.
And we're going to hear a tune called "Angry."
Looks good. So, it produced in Brighton at the 3PB Studios and from 1924.
I think it's one of the later ones. Is it number 103 or something?
102.
102,
on this. Yeah. So,
it's
again,
one of the later ones.
Yeah, so this is the sounds of pop music in Melbourne at that time, and incredibly significant because it's the burgeoning recording industry. It's before the main label started up. So... A remarkable boutique offering.
We're playing a cardboard record.
That's what they are, with just a light substrate.
Yeah. They'd wear enormously quickly, wouldn't they?
Okay, we've just heard
Angry with Ray Charlier. That played well, didn't it, for a little 8-inch Austral?
Yeah, indeed. These cardboard records, it's a miracle any of them have survived, really, when you think of it. Just a very light laminate on a cardboard record, and you think of the heavyweight gramophone pickups from that era would have just gouged these discs.
Every playing would sort of be another writing on the wall for it.
I've seen so many, though, that are unplayable.
Yeah. So
that are sort of gouged or...
That's it. Once they're gouged, they're sort of... you can't really do much at all. But remarkable record.
Is that the Angry side?
No, that's the Missouri Waltz. The Angry's they're facing
Angry's
you.
facing me.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
Okay. Well, talking about Australian jazz, we'll go now to 1950, and Steve, you might like to read the label of the next record.
Indeed. This is something quite amazing. It's an acetate, and it's an Armstrong Australian jazz special from 1950, a concert from 1950 featuring Len Bernard and John Sangster. Len Bernard on the piano, John Sangster drums, and it's the Graham Bell Farewell. So it's before one of their tours of Czechoslovakia or
England.
England. Okay.
Does it say where it was recorded?
It doesn't say where it was. It's just. But what's
Not in
interesting?
the Armstrong studio, would it?
Well, I think it was the days.
It would have been recorded live. Something he would have recorded on
okay.
wire.
I'd say it would have been recorded on wire live,
Right.
and then issued on this acetate. Now, what's remarkable, of course, is that Mr. Armstrong is still with us.
Indeed.
And
You spoke to him today, Jamie.
Yes, I did actually. He rang me up looking for a radio program for someone, and was told that I might have it, and I was able to help him.
oh, that's very
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Had a bit of a chat, and he's 92.
92,
Amazing.
Mr. Armstrong, still going strong, and this was one of his formative recordings. I suppose he would have been very young, 1950.
Well, so what is 1924?
Yeah.
So he would have been 26.
Yes, he would have.
In his 20s, very enterprising.
Yes,
The
indeed.
story of his early days is
Remarkable.
quite.
Somebody should write a biography of it.
I think they've been.
I think that's happening.
Oh, good.
That's good. There's been numerous interviews. I've interviewed him. I did ask him what microphones he used on these early discs.
Yeah, well, why not?
And he explained to me that he used an STC 4017 for all the vocals. And he had a Philips pencil mic. It's before he had Neumann's and things in his
You'll
collection.
have to share that with me. I'd love to hear that interview, because most interviews that you hear, he doesn't go into that sort of detail.
Yeah, well, I just
People don't
wanted to get
ask those
some
sort of-
specificity about the way he recorded.
I guess one of the things is somebody who has, obviously to him, has that sort of technical knowledge to deeply understand. Not that necessarily you don't, Jamie, but Steve would show a special interest in it, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, well, we'll have to go and pay him a visit, I think. Yeah, we'll have to, and because he's got this nice little office there, and he's a great storyteller, and maybe we could bring a recorder and ask those questions.
I don't think he'd mind, would he?
I don't think he would. I think it'd be most interesting, and he's certainly.
Think about our history. I mean, he was involved with Eon FM, for example.
Oh, was he really?
Wasn't he? He was one. He was one of the.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was one of the people on the
board
who ran it, who owned it.
I think he owned the station at one point.
Is that right?
Yeah, and
that is amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, look, he's rolled on so many levels.
ENA, what is it? What was it? What did he have in the 70s? ENA Audio or
Armstrong Audio Visual.
AAV. Yeah. So many people talk about going out there to do commercials and all sorts of things.
The Hit Factory.
The Hit Factory,
Yeah, so
he moved with the times, didn't he?
Yeah. No, that's it. So, look, and it's an incredible story. I mean, I'm particularly fascinated by the early days, and he took a lot of initiative travelling around with his wire recorder and capturing a lot of Australian jazz in the late 40s, early 50s.
Yes.
So we've got an example of this now. This is very special, amazing to hear this. So evidently dubbed off wire, and we'll hear Mr. Sangster and Mr. Bernard.
Indeed.
vk3sl testing. that's a live
concert
from 1950.
Great stuff. I wonder where it was.
I think there's a date on the label, isn't there?
Yeah, it says 1950. It doesn't give us a specific date, but it does say Graham Bell's farewell concert.
How about location?
It doesn't say.
No, we don't have that information. But we can, of course, we can ask Mr. A.
He'll remember, I'm sure.
We can play I think the other side, it's got an actual date. If we play the other side.
Oh, September 1950. It says.
There you go.
Okay, and this is Domino Rag with Len Bernard on the piano, with Graham Bell rhythm section. Okay, I didn't realise. I thought Len Bernard was a drummer.
No.
Is a pianist? Okay, right. Okay.
Len and Bob.
Fair enough. And with Graham Bell's rhythm section, September 1950. So, special event on an acetate. Live to
Yes.
air. Thanks, Jamie. Let's have a listen.
Thanks very much, Len. Len got in a little bit ahead of me. I was going to come on and announce him and tell those of you who don't know who Len Bernard is all about him, but he got here before me. Len has an up-and-coming band now, and as many of you know, broadcasts every week over 3KZ. Now, the next number Len's going to play is a composition of his own, going to be accompanied by our rhythm section here, and it's called Domino Rag. Thank you.
Okay, that was Len Bernard on the
Domino
piano.
Rag.
Yeah,
Really raggy, wasn't it?
it certainly was. Yeah, good arrangement, a live performance. We're trying to imagine where it might have been recorded.
But that signature Graham Bell
One of the town halls.
clicky percussion going on there. With
Yes, it's true. They're definitely
lovely stuff.
It is. So maybe Paran Town Hall, maybe
One of those,
our
yes.
local venues from 1950. But significantly, that is an Armstrong pressing.
It is, yes.
For the very beginning of Bill's career, when he had his own, I think he had a number of different labels. He did. He had a label for the Musicians Union too, I think.
Yes, he did, yes.
That's interesting.
Which is, quite an interesting one. So, this is his Australian jazz label, and it's from his own home. It says here, made in Australia at Armstrong Studios, 100 Darling Road, East Malvern.
Wow.
Oh, there you go.
So I think that's where he grew up.
Where you got,
Sounds
yeah,
like.
yeah.
So when we meet up with him, it would be good to sort of bring up those topics.
Wow.
So there
And
we
you're
go.
saying the musicians label, what does that look like?
Musicians Union.
I've got one here. I'll see if I can dig it up. And Southern Cross label.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, that's the one. So, he had that label. He had a number of labels, I think. As did Brian Cox and others. I think there was a sort of people were quite enterprising.
He was half owner of Swaggy, wasn't he?
I think he might have been,
With
yes.
with Neville Sherborne.
Sure, yeah. So,
Yes, I think you're right there.
Yeah, well,
and
what
a
he was.
number of his records appeared on that Paramount 45s.
That's true.
as well.
With Smacker. He recorded the Smackers.
He made all those smackers on a bias.
in the pubs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's terrific. I reckon.
well, that's right. That's what I asked him about when I interviewed Bill. I was particular about those smacker recordings he made at the Darnham pub.
yeah.
So a number of them were made out there, and the story of getting all the locals involved, and even getting the local constabulary involved, so they could go past 6 o'clock for the recording session.
Oh, wow. What pub was it?
Darnham.
Where's
So
that?
if you ever go down to Gippsland and you drive past the Darnham pub, and I always think that's where they made their smacker, the Singing Barman records.
Delightfully rough, wasn't it?
Weren't they
Yes.
great recordings, though?
Oh, terrific! I love that. You really capture a sort of a density in the sound. There's a real sort of
There's another very
Australian-ness.
nice recording that I imagine he oversaw with Smacker singing with Graham Kennedy.
Oh, yes.
Oh, right, okay,
Yes.
very good. That would have been in the 70s, I imagine.
Now, what was that?
A bit earlier, perhaps,
No, it's sort of like 60s, early
Yeah, I
60s.
think a bit earlier, yeah.
Earlier,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
sure. very
Not
good.
Get Under the Moon. It was something.
Oh, there are several songs. I
There's
can't
a few
remember
of them. I've got it on. I've got the 45.
Have you? Yeah.
Okay, good. All
He
right.
sings Barefoot Days. but
That's right.
Oh, really? Barefoot Days. That was a bit of another one from Smacker and the Singing Barman
Totally.
in the early days as well.
certainly
that's
was.
right.
Yeah, all right. We've got an associated Vitatone
Yes.
Transcriptione
It can't be
record.
emissions without a Vitatone.
I know. We need our Vitatonic, don't we?
We do.
do.
That
indeed.
kept us going during the lockdowns, our Vitatonic every
Yes.
day.
Get ready for the early hi-fi.
That's
Yes.
it indeed. But this one here, we have this very mysterious artist called Mr. Flip Wallace.
I wonder who that could be.
Flip Wallace. I just wonder. I think it'll need no further introduction. All we have to do is drop the needle in
Indeed.
and let the record speak for itself.
Talk with all by myself, no one to walk with, but I'm happy on the shelf. Ain't misbehaving, I'm saving all my love for you. Oh, you hear me talking to ya? I don't stay out late, no place to go. I'm home, my baby dated my neighbor's radio. Ain't misbehaving, I'm saving all my love for you. Ah, you dog, you. Like Jack Horner, sitting in a corner, don't go nowhere. What do I care? Oh, your kisses are worth waiting for. Believe me. Don't stay out late, don't got no place to go. Home about 8 at my little radio, and I'm chirping, baby. I ain't misconducting, I'm saving my confection for you. Yes, you. Yes, you.
Of course, that was Fat Swallow, and what a great ending with that rendition of Ain't Misbehaving.
And Fat's in hi-fi.
Yes.
Fat's in high spirits as well.
Indeed.
Yeah, you don't usually get to hear the overtones in his voice.
No.
It's always a little bit of muffle missions, and here we have Fats just sounding like a modern recording.
Fats' top end.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
We all know about Fats' bottom end.
We do.
Yeah. So, yes.
You made it a bit clear there.
That's right.
Yes, indeed. So Flip Wallace there.
Flip Wallace, yeah.
Flip Wallace is the name on the label because these are associated Vitatone pressings, and all the artists who went under pseudonyms.
Indeed.
To work around their contractual
And
obligations.
he's special
to other
because he fills up a side on this record, whereas usually you get 2 tracks a side
sure.
on these. So he's given special status.
Rightly so.
Indeed. Well, I think we have to hear another one.
Let's hear another one.
Let's go with the flow.
What's the titles on the next one?
Yeah,
Steve?
we'll just put this record in its sleeve. And so with Mr. Waller facing upwards, there we have it.
Very good.
There we have it, Jamie. And so Flip Wallace with Hallelujah and Do Me a Favour and California, Here I Come. So 3 tracks in close succession, no closed grooves on this record.
No.
And these are wide range of Western Electric sound system offerings using the associated recording program service. Transcription. And these are Hill and Dale records in hi-fi from the 1930s. They are absolutely astonishing artefact from that time. Let's continue.
And broadcast on 3AW.
Right.
They had the Vitatone.
They had the
contract.
license.
Yes,
Sure.
Yes. What, about when, Joe?
1934, 35, 36.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do me a favor, marry me. Do me a favor, can't you see? I'm on the quiver to be Middle Island you. Oh, do me a favor, share my lot. Do me a favor, tie the knot. Darling, the waiver and we'll come smiling through. Say the word, dear, we do as other folks do, raise 2 or 3. It's absurd, dear, that I should have to coax you. Don't be afraid to take a chance with me. Oh, you won't regret it when we're one. Oh, baby, we'll have fun. I won't forget it, so do me a favor, dear. Yes, yes, yes. Listen, honey, have you got $1.90? Well, I got the dime. Go on out here and find a parson. Ha, ha, ha. Yes. My. Oh, stop it, Joe. You tickling me. Yes. Oh, we're floating down the Hudson. Yes, yes. Oh, Joseph, you're doing it again. Oh, get away from here.
What's great entertainment in that record with Flip Wallace?
Yes, indeed, that's right. And of course, we're not entertaining on this network.
No, no.
Now, if you're listening on the stream, you are certainly welcome to be entertained.
Indeed.
But
we are educating as
we
well. though.
are indeed, and what an experience that was.
We all
Waller.
flipped on that one.
Oh, we certainly did. Flip Wallace, Fats Waller, in hi-fi, and his infectious delivery. In fact, we were just surmising. I mean, these recordings, I think they're not they're not the mainstream commercial records. So I think he was able to free associate a little bit more, perhaps.
Yeah, certainly a lot of freedom in there, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, just whimsical, meandering, and
He did his own thing, absolutely.
yeah, he certainly did, and all that humour in his playing. It's great, when he has that sort of extended dialogue, and then he continues to play. It's just like the conversation continues.
Enormous spontaneity, isn't there?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, indeed. Absolutely amazing. Well, that is a real treat to hear Fats in hi-fi, because you just don't hear his voice with its breathing in the way, with the...
Well, the dynamics is just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Totally.
Amazing stuff. So thanks for that. All right,
That's all right. And now something back to Australia, back to Melbourne, 1964. And this is a private recording of the Jazzmakers, who I don't know anything about.
It doesn't say much.
It'd be a combination.
It's just a handwritten label. It says the Jazzmakers and 3 is what it says.
And 3.
Melbourne, November the 11th, 1964 is the only information on the label. It's a vinyl pressing, and but what it's all about, we just don't know. So we're going to just jump in the deep end and try. This is an LP, incidentally.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens. Another interesting artefact. Thank you.
Wow, the Jazz Makers and Three from, was it November 1964?
That's right. It's a mystery record. We don't really know who's on that disc, but it's a microgroove and maybe a private release. But it seems like it's a venue performance, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, there'd be a compilation of top musicians from a number of groups.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm sure the Victorian Jazz Society or
the archive,
or museum would know all about
they
it.
would know all about that one.
They would indeed.
I'll just pass it over to you, Jamie. There we go.
Good.
So, we've got a little system here just so we don't get a backlog of records piling up and mixed up.
Indeed.
So, next one is a Spotlight variety. So, Mr. Fleming might enjoy this record. And he's had a close association with Cyril Stevens' studios in the past. And in fact, I think he has Mr. Stevens' master recorder in his possession, which is a very interesting machine, a custom machine, a ferrograph with...
very nice.
So... But this is a particularly fascinating record of Roy Hosking and his music, and we associate Roy Hosking with Channel 9.
Channel 9, yeah.
And but in the early 50s, this would have to be early 50s, he fronted a couple of bands. Now, I think Side A, to my knowledge, because I've got a copy of this too, I think the Side A features more of a trad feel. And then on side B, we have more of a contemporary jazz feel. So I think we'll just have one of each. So maybe we'll start with Millenburg Joys.
Ah, nice track.
Yeah, it's a good track. I think it's a Johnny Roll Morton tune.
Yeah.
And we'll hear Roy Hosking and his music, and then we'll flip the disc and choose another. So a Spotlight variety this is sort of predates the Spotlight varieties that you usually see around. It's sort of like it's a more of a primitive labelling.
It's very early, isn't it?
Yeah, it's before they had their super sound. Yes, what does it say? True frequency recording.
Yes.
It's got a few identifiers.
One of the very early ones. Is it SP01 or 2 or 3 or something like that?
Yes, SV7.
SP, so it's very early, isn't it?
It is. It's called Dixie Elections is the name of the disc. I'm just going to give it a clean. And we'll jump in at the last track on the side, which is Millenburg Joys. And here we go. I think we're initiated. And this is vk3sl test missions on 160 and on UHF. That was Roy Hosking and his music on a Spotlight Variety 10-inch.
Very early, wasn't it? Number 7.
Yes, indeed, from Cyril Stevens Recording Studios in Thornbury. And, look, a very sort of clinical, correct performance there of Muhlenberg Joys. We'll flip the disc and we'll hear the band sort of evolve into a different genre. Sort of, I think on side B they play more contemporary style. So we'll hear a track called Stupendous on side B. So I'll just have to flip the disc.
Flip the disc over.
So we can do that. And I might give it a quick clean. And we can go with the flow. I think we're nearly there. All right. Let's have a listen to...
And they had quite a big catalogue too, didn't they, Spotlight?
They did. There's not a huge amount of jazz, but this is an interesting example. That was a track called... Whoops. And they keep on rolling. That was a track called Stupendous, and we're listening to Roy Hosking and his music on a Spotlight.
I think they were much
Variety.
more at home with that one.
Doesn't it sound very 1950s?
It does have that
but it's
signature
contemporary.
sound of the 50s for sure.
I think they kind of knew their way around that better than the other side.
Yeah, I think that might be sort of more comfortable
their
for
thing,
them. Yeah, for sure.
I
But
enjoyed that. a lot.
yeah, definitely interesting record. So thanks for sharing that. So we'll follow on now. We'll just
Swap records.
swap the disc, and we'll.
And this next one's on a very unusual AJQ label.
Yeah, this fascinates. Now, you with
It's
your,
a Len Bernard.
with your forensic abilities of
Yeah.
of discerning record labels. Here's the other one back. There we go. Dick Selections, and this one is Len Bernard's jazz band, but it is an AJQ label, which is a label totally unknown. But you're saying, Jamie,
Well, it's
that
a W&G pressing.
Right. Okay.
So it was pressed by a
so a bit of a boutique label, jazz label in Melbourne in the 50s.
I think they put out couple of. I think I might have another one somewhere.
Okay. I've never seen them before. It's a cardboard, very basic cardboard label with very little information at all. All it says is recording for AJQ, long playing Maku. I'd say it's definitely a custom
thing. I should know
thing.
what AJQ stands for.
It sounds like
Australian Jazz something?
Yeah, well, maybe.
Q doesn't give you too many alternatives.
No, it doesn't, indeed. So in this instance, we've got the personnel are listed on the back, and we've got Bob Bernard on cornet, Nate Bronsborough, our alto, tenor and recorder. Interesting.
Indeed. Had to be the recorder.
Yeah, Titch Bray, Graham Coyle, Peter Cleaver on the banjo, Ron Williamson sousaphone, and Len Bernard on the drums and washboard.
Oh, yeah.
So recorded Melbourne, April 1954 is the date.
That'd be good.
So we'll just pick a track. I think we'll just go with number one. I think, which is Flat Foot is the name of the track on the first side. I think it's a hard label to read. It's gold on blue, so got to hold it up to the light to see it. Yes, I think the first track is called Flat Foot. So we'll hear
Flat Foot.
Len Bernard's band from 1954. This is VK3SL testing. This record certainly warrants further investigation. Love to know who recorded. Beautifully recorded, outstanding musicians. And
here's the next track.
Yeah, I think we'll just hear another. Let's go. Oh, we're enjoying this so much, I think we'll just play one more.
We're on a roll.
We certainly are. Well,
The lovely tones there of Len Bernard.
yes, indeed.
Bob
At his
Bernard
best, I would say.
Yes.
Yes, and a rhythm section that doesn't lag. It's they were driving that right through, and it was very effective. It's and very well recorded, so it doesn't congeal as often trad jazz does. And Led Bernard's jazz band on a AJQ, a boutique label,
Yes.
a rarity. And that record does strike a chord. Thanks, Jamie.
1954.
Yeah, indeed. I'm just going to put this back at front. It's plastic sleeve. I think it's...
Yes, it's always tricky, isn't it, getting them back in their plastic sleeves?
Yes, you've got to find the right... Oh, no. Where is it?
Well, maybe it doesn't have one.
I don't think it does,
No.
because I would have known.
Yes.
So back in the
Back in the
cover, there we have it. And next one is we've got here some really
It's a planet,
interesting.
isn't it?
It's a Planet record, unusual. You don't see that many Planet records. Mr. Herman and Co. and directed by Bob King Crawford. And in this instance, we've got one. It's Patty's Party. Patty Stewart and her footwarmers. Now, who was Patty Stewart? Can we find out about Patty Stewart? Does it say here? It doesn't really give us much information. No, it just tells us how good she is. Okay, we'll leave that to
your imagination.
To our imagination.
Yes.
Yes.
So, but I do like the cover on this record. It says Patty's Party, 48 songs 48 songs everybody knows for singing, for dancing,
Yes.
and vitalising lame parties.
Wow.
So if you're ever at a lame party,
Bring this on.
Bring
and
it on.
everybody will be
yeah, jumping at the Savoy.
something like that.
Okay, all right, we'll have to have a listen. Here we have it. Patty's Party, Patty Stewart and the Footwarmers. What track? We'll just go with the...
Track one.
I think we'll just play track one, which is Dinah. All
Is there
right.
anything finer?
Indeed. So
The state of Carolina.
that's what they say. And this is a Marcus Herman, and for Planet Records. And what's their advertising slogan for? If artists are out of this world, they're on a
planet. That's right.
What they said. Okay, well, we'll have to hear this, and we'll have to be transported. vk3sl testing. Okay,
there we
what's
are.
happening? What happened to the vocalist there? They were off. Must have been off mic.
Deliberately so, by the sound of things.
Maybe that was a artistic choice by Marcus Herman.
Maybe they'd been at the party too long.
Maybe they had.
That's supposed to be the party fill. The party, isn't it?
That's right, indeed. Well, see, Marco had his natural sound, and maybe it didn't quite fit the bill.
Yeah.
They didn't get the natural tick. So anyhow, we're hearing Paddy's Party. Paddy Stewart and her footwoman. We're trying to guess who the guitar player might have been. Who do you think?
Oh, it sounded to me like Bruce Stewart to me.
Sure. Yeah, interesting. So this is a 12-inch record. This is one I've never seen anywhere. And in fact, I don't think there are probably very few copies of this around. But
I wonder why.
Yes, I wonder. But an interesting artefact. And it's nice to sample these sort of rather obscure LPs from this period, recorded locally. But I think we might give this one the big general fade at this point.
Yes, and we'll move on to the next one.
Give it a good
move
run.
on.
We've got some.
Yes, we've got one track out of it. Off Mike's sing. So, Mr. Herman, I don't know what you were doing there, but
No.
it's usually a good idea to have the singers on mic, not
That's
off
right.
mic.
You hear them a lot. don't you?
Yes,
Yes.
that's right. Something to do with intelligibility.
Maybe it's meant to be a background party record.
Yeah.
Sing along to.
Or maybe everyone else and the listeners do the singing.
Yeah.
And
Oh, that could be it. Yes.
it could be like a bit
That's
karaoke.
right.
Karaoke.
That's
It could be a
yes.
karaoke.
Early karaoke.
That's
Indeed,
right.
that's right. It could be. All right, so we'll hand that one back, and drum roll. We have Wurlitzer in Scotland. Oh my God! So wait for it, folks. This will be cringe, but well, we've got
We'll
to.
hear one track.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, we'll have one track because it's got to be heard. Wurlitzer in Scotland, another Planet record. The Hermans, Mr. Herman, really. He had some interesting ideas here. We're going to hear our Iris Norgrove at the State Theatre Wurlitzer in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's significant. We're hearing the State Theatre. Is that still?
I don't think so. Is it? It's not. I don't think it's still.
I don't think the organ's still extant.
Where was that? Where was the State Theatre?
State Theatre is the one in Flinders Street.
Oh, okay.
That's gone. Is it? It was.
No, it's still there.
Still there?
I think it was a revivalist centre or something last time I
okay.
was
I
in the
see.
area.
State
Not that I went to
Theatre,
that, but
No.
no, I think it's had a few incarnations since it was used as a cinema. I think it was one of those cinemas that was divided into two.
I see.
Right.
Yeah, but I think the building's still there and it's used for functions, but in a reduced capacity. It's
Not
one of those
showing.
cinemas where they had a faux sky. And so and lots of sort of 1920s Spanish Gothic figurines everywhere. And
So it's a bit arty, wasn't it?
it sort of was, and I know that when the revivalists had it, they had to all of the pagan statues had to be covered up in a certain way.
Oh,
I see.
wow.
And but yes, I remember going there for something else, some theatre thing, theatre sports or something, and the it had a faux sky, so it felt like you were in the outdoor, but it was
Yes,
just the
but you weren't.
Yeah, you weren't.
So I'm just sort of wondering, the other Wurlitzer, wasn't that in Camberwell? Wasn't there one?
The Dendy has had a
Dendy,
they had a
yeah.
Wurlitzer.
Brighton.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dendy and Brighton had a Wurlitzer, and I think that's under threat at the moment. I read somewhere that
no.
there's a concern with that one, and I know the Capital had a Wurlitzer, and also the Regent.
That's right.
Yes.
They all had their big theatre organs,
Yes.
and the Regent I don't think has been put back. I think it's still in pieces, and I'm not sure about. I think the Capital also, because the Capital is only half a theatre now.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are other people who have much more information about that. But look, we can hear Iris Norgrove at the State Theatre Wurlitzer,
Can.
and wow. Scottish music on the Wurlitzer. What can we hear? We'll go to the first track again. I think it's always a good place to start. They always put their best record first. And we'll hear another example of Marcus Herman's natural sound. With
This will be interesting.
This will indeed be interesting. A local recording.
Yeah.
And we'll just give this record a bit of a clean. And we'll follow on. Let's have a listen. And these are Test Missions and vk3sl and company. I think we have a locked groove,
That is
folks,
very
and I
unusual.
think that's probably
All we need.
not a bad thing.
To lock us out.
I'm sorry, Iris Norgrove. We enjoyed the drum at the start.
We did.
But, there's something really not quite right about
Indeed.
Scottish music on the Wurlitzer.
No.
But it is perfect for what we are doing. We have to sample these
I
sort
did
of...
enjoy
right.
hearing the Wurlitzer sound, though.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And does Fats play a Wurlitzer?
He does indeed.
I thought it sounded similar,
Yes, that's right. The Wurlitzer sound.
Misbehaving and
All
don't
that
try your
Wurlitzer.
drive on me and all those sort of things.
That's right. They're all played on the big
Yes,
Wurlitzer,
indeed.
big organs.
right.
And of course, they were designed for the silent films.
Yes,
and
yes.
and that's probably where the drum came in. There we go. There's the record. Until next time.
They were good organs, weren't they?
Oh, they were amazing instruments.
yeah, yeah.
So just an
The
unusual.
pipe organs, Steve.
Yeah, I think they had some pipes.
Yes.
Yes, I think they were pipe organs, but they're sort of not like church pipe
No,
organs.
no.
A different type of pipe organ.
You wouldn't do hymns on them, I don't.
No, probably not. No, but good for watching Tom Mix on the and Douglas Fairbanks and galloping along.
They're certainly, filling sound. It was.
Oh yes, that's right. Now
Indeed.
this is an interesting one. I don't know anything about Eddie Shue. Now it might be Eddie Shue.
This is a
Shue-
Columbia 45. It'll tell us on the
Yes, I'm going to
cover.
read this out. It says, featuring Eddie Shue with Terry Wilkinson on the piano, George Thompson on the bass, and Jimmy Shaw on the drums. Now, Eddie Shue is one of the most versatile musicians in the profession. He performs on alto and tenor sax, clarinet, trumpet, bass, and harmonica. He's also an arranger, vocalist, and professional ventriloquist. Say no
He makes the
more.
coffee as well.
He
Jeez.
might, yes. Well, thank God he's a professional ventriloquist. Eddie is a kid from Brooklyn. He studied violin and guitar when in short pants. At the age of 17, he ran away from home to join, I nearly said Crappy Barrow's harmonica band, but Cappy Barrow's harmonica band, and toured the vaudeville circuits. He decided to play alto sax as a hobby, and in a week he had become so proficient that he was able to sit in on a jam session. 3 weeks later, he took his first job as a professional saxophone player, and while in Hawaii, he enlisted in the army and later performing as a harmonica player and ventriloquist, say no more, in the Central Pacific. He learned to play clarinet and when at an army base in Georgia, USA, he mastered the trumpet, incidentally. After being discharged from the army in 1945, Eddie worked with George Shearing, Buddy Rich, and Les Elgar.
Now you're talking.
Now we're moving in the right direction. In 1949, he played tenor sax, clarinet, and trumpet with Lionel Hampton's unit, subsequently working in California with Charlie Barnett and
Say no
New
more.
York and Chubby Jackson. Now, Eddie then led his own group at Basin Street when that club opened late in 1953. He and his pianist Teddy Napoleon left the club to team up with Gene Krupa and come to Australia. It was during this tour that Eddie made this present extended play record.
Oh, wow.
Right, there we go. That's good. At least we know what the background is to this. So he was touring with Krupa when he made this.
Yeah, what a guy.
Quite a versatile musician.
yeah.
Since returning to the States, he has found yet another hobby, driving his big Lincoln car and racking his brains for a spot to hide it whenever the instalment collector comes around. Right, say no more. Man of the world
He's done it all.
is Mr. Eddie Shue, but I don't know anything about Eddie Shue other than that.
No, I don't either.
We don't know what he did later on.
No.
But he was a force to be reckoned with, evidently, at this point in time. So we've got a choice, and we've got Tigeroo, Strike Up the Band, and Makin' Whoopee, Bill and Shue.
What?
Okay, well, maybe Makin' Whoopee was a Donaldson.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I'm thinking, was it Making Whoopee and something else, or was it just Making Whoopee?
Making Whoopee, and then the next track is
Oh,
Bill,
I see.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Bill and Shue.
Eddie Cantor had the big one.
Of course.
He
Yes,
did.
yes,
Well,
yes,
look,
he
we
did.
can give this a Berlin to see what it's like,
Why
eh?
not?
Yeah, why not?
I better get the
I think he has an interesting enough bio to warrant listening to.
I think so.
Indeed.
I think so. There's enough information to capture people's imagination. Let's have a listen. Okay, that's Eddie Shue and his Australian jazz group. I reckon we can hear one more.
I think so.
He's been listening to Eddie Shue and his Australian jazz group on
Very slick.
Very slick, and on a Columbia extended play 45. Excellent, yeah. So we've got the little bio before of Mr. Shue, who was touring with Gene Krupa in Australia.
It sounds like about a mid-50s recording, doesn't it?
It does. Very, very smooth playing. But what happened to Eddie Shue?
We don't know.
He evidently went back with Mr. Krupa back to the US and then did other things, maybe, or maybe he's he continued as a session player or as a
Yes.
who knows? But that's an interesting little anecdote.
Nice combination there.
It is,
Certainly was.
and it's interesting that it's sort of billed as Eddie Shue and his Australian jazz group. So sort of
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
yeah. So it's sort
So
of
he's come out on his own.
yeah, and he's just
obviously without any other musos.
Well, it was pretty common in those days because of the musicians union that you'd have to use the local musicians.
Yes.
local.
So that's
talent.
why when rock bands or Sinatra, they always
Lee
had to
Gordon
use.
brought people out.
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
right. You had to use the local musicians.
Yeah, Freddie Bell. There were problems, but I remember Freddie Bell and the Bell Boys.
Bell
He
Boys,
wanted to bring the Bell Boys out.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a big stoush over it.
Sure. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, next record's quite special, really, and you'll have to tell the story of Julian Lee.
So this is a Columbia 45 of Julian Lee, who of course was a very well-known musician. He happened to be a totally blind person, New Zealand by birth, and made records in New Zealand back in the 1950s. Very versatile, played all sorts of different instruments, also a great singer. Worked with Capitol in America for some years, also with Frank Sinatra, George Shearing, and he wrote a lot of jingles and out here in the 60s, and he's just such a versatile, everywhere sort of performer.
He was extremely highly regarded by other musos.
Yes.
Yeah, and he lived a long life.
He only died about maybe 18 months, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember I paid tribute on one of these missions. It must be...
You did. I think it was one of the recent ones, a couple of years.
It might have been about the year before. It might have been 2020. I think it was...
Yeah, you played a
I
transcription
think it was
recording.
November 2020 or somewhere around there that
Yeah.
he passed away.
I
Yeah.
remember at that time you did play that, and there was a recording of some of his arrangements. He was playing piano.
Yes.
And,
Did I not also play an interview with him? I can't remember.
I think it might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have it?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I'd love to hear that. At
Yeah,
some time.
we'll return to that.
Yes.
Anyhow, we've got the 45 on the table. I think it's Smoke Gets in Your Eyes is the track here, and
Lovely.
Julian Lee at the piano. This is vk3sl testing.
That was Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, played there beautifully by Julian Lee. And now we're going to hear Smoke Gets in Your Eyes.
Cheek to Cheek.
Oh, Cheek to Cheek, sorry.
Yeah.
Again by Julian Lee.
Well, Julian Lee there, what a magnificent performer you've been listening to there. And,
absolutely. Just flights of imagination.
Yes.
Really just knew the keyboard and just so directly expressive. Marvellous playing.
Sadly, I don't think he got enough recognition in some quarters, sadly. I mean, I think... but very, very respected by his peers.
Sure.
Very
Very
well
much
respected.
so. But as you say, not as much as he should have been beyond that.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, look, he's just total command of his instruments. Marvellous. So he retired to Barrel?
He retired to Barrel, New South Wales, and I think he stopped performing about maybe sort of 5 or 6 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yep.
He had a stroke and he was in a wheelchair
That's
for
right.
the last few years of his life. So
Yes, yes,
okay.
yes.
Sure.
he was fairly mobile, but he was always so positive.
Yeah.
You talked to him on the phone, he was always so upbeat and so
I don't think he lost any of his
so
marbles.
cheeky, you know. It's just,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
He didn't lose any of his...
No, it was just always such a positive, you know, loved telling stories. He was very good mates with, who was it that died not so long ago? The well-known friend of James Morrison's.
Don Burrows.
Don Burrows, yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
He'd talk about...
Did they
chatting.
record? Did they make
I think
them?
they did, yes.
Did they?
Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay. Oh, that's
I
good.
didn't know that. That's really interesting.
Oh, well, we'll look forward to
He used to
hearing
talk
more.
about Don Burrows a lot.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
was certainly
James
involved in
Morrison.
that Sydney scene, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Oh, that was terrific. Thank you for that.
That's all right.
That was a real treat.
Especially for Frank.
There's a lot of stories told about him. I mean, you know, in terms of of not being able to see. And one of the favourite ones they tell is how they'd all go to a party and they'll get out of their brains and they'd say, well, we better let Julian drive, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Right.
Common sort of scenario.
That's right.
Yes. Okay.
But he was much loved among his fellows.
Very well respected.
Yeah. And rightfully so. Magnificent performer.
So next we move on to Graham Coyle.
Yes.
Yeah, this looks interesting. It's a swaggy, and from 1955. In fact, the 7th of the 12th, 55, it's dated. And it features Graham Coyle, Peter Cleaver on the banjo, Tony Johnson drums, and Ron Williamson on the tuba. And in this instance, playing the music of Jelly Roll Morton.
Wow.
So it's a ragtime music, and I think it starts off with Kansas City Stomp, which is a Jelly Roll Morton fave. So, we'll begin with that on a swaggy 45.
Indeed.
It's vk3sl testing.
And there we heard Graham Coyle. And what was the track, Steve?
That was Grandpa's Spells. These are Jolly Roll Morton tunes and on a swaggy 45.
Yes.
Yeah, great to hear ragtime. We're having so much variety, aren't we?
Covering the field.
We certainly are. So, it's good to hear ragtime music because it's important. It bridges. It's the when syncopation sort of was given a mainstream recognition.
Totally.
And I think we're going to move to a Tom Pickering, another swaggy. Is that right?
Yes, indeed. That's right. There's a Tom Pickering Good Time Jazz Band with Billy Banks. He's
a well-known drummer, isn't he? Billy Banks?
I think so. So we'll just quickly package this one up and then we'll find the next disc. And these are 45s, swaggy 45s, in beautiful condition. They're excellent records there, Jamie. Fascinating. So we're sort of having
extended play 45.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Tom Pickering's Good Time Jazz Band with Billy Banks. And one other information. It says here, the meeting of Billy Banks and the Tom Pickering Band was one of those things. Isolated in Tasmania, the Pickering Band had developed very much its own style of playing jazz. One of the chief qualities of this style is a fresh, carefree approach as opposed to the high seriousness of many revivalist groups. This matched up well with Billy's own happy-go-lucky yet highly professional attitude. The session took place on Sunday afternoon in 4 hours only. 4 sides were cut and one of these was spoilt by a technical hitch. In between recording, Billy reminisced about theories of jazz playing and musicians he had heard and performed with. Bessie Smith, Noble Sissel, Negro funerals and rent parties.
Wow.
When asked if he'd like to record some tunes for the famous Chicago Rhythm Makers sessions of 1932, he said he couldn't remember them. Neither could he recall the words of Fat Swallow rarely heard Old Yazoo. When Tom recited them to him, he wrote them out like a story. No verses, no punctuation.
That's fascinating stuff.
It is, isn't it? This is all.
Don't you love the stories on these covers on these records?
They really give a backstory, don't they?
It's so hard, Jamie. We don't get to hear a lot of stuff.
We don't. No, that's right.
I'm not. Anyway, that's
Yeah, so it says the faulty take was replaced by one of Tom's most popular vocal numbers, Casey Jones, recorded some months earlier, and thanks to Peter Ford, who recorded Keith Graham and the 7/8 Show and 7/8 Show.
Keith Graham, there's a well-known name.
Yeah, whose cooperation made possible this recording. So there we have it. Sid Pierce wrote that cover note there.
Yes, wonderful. That was terrific.
So Tom Pickering, with Billy Banks. Well, we'll unpack this one. Oh gosh, this looks like it's got a hand label. Oh, Tom Pickering Good Time Jazz. Wow. This looks like it's it's not a mainstream.
Might be a test pressing, is it?
I think it might well be. Yeah. So, what's what to listen to? Shall we have "Take Me Back to Old Yazoo"?
Oh, that'll do.
Yeah, it sounds all right, doesn't it?
Good.
So good. Tom Pickering's Good Time Boys, Tasmanian Fair. All right, we'll just
Indeed.
I'll just give this a bit of a clean, and
I'm just
check this one out.
stretching my
Going back
legs for a
to
second.
the mid-1950s yet again.
Yeah, that's it.
With
All right,
these.
more swaggy magic.
Take me back to old Yazoo. Everything up here is new. I can't stand it, just must land it. To choo-choo back to old Yazoo. Everything you do, people got their eyes on you. It's compelling, yelling, take me back to old Yazoo. If you don't like my beans and rice, try my rice and beans. If you don't like my greens and ham, try my ham and greens. How long do I have to wait, standing at the station gate? My mind's made up, it's a jam. Take me back to old Yazoo.
sounds like Fat Swallow.
It certainly does, inspired by Fats. Yeah, and that's
deliberate.
Tom Pickering. Look, I think we'll do what we did with the others. We'll go with the second track on the side, and this one is My Old Kentucky Home.
On my old Kentucky home, 'tis so many young folks I gave. By and by, hard times comes knocking at my door, and the birds make music all day. Oh, weep no more, my baby, oh, weep no more today. Let us sing one song, my old Kentucky home, my old Kentucky home, for the baby.
Tom Pickering there. And what was that track called?
That was
Steve?
My Old Kentucky Home. It was the second track on the side, and these recordings were made in Hobart in 1956 for Swaggy. Yeah,
with the support of 7HO.
Indeed. So Tom Pickering's Good Time Jazz Band, inspired by Fats very much. His presence is he's omnipresent on these records.
Oh, yes.
Indeed.
In absentia. So, Mr. Waller.
We enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was good. I'll just get this record back in that special sleeve. They've got like a...
yes, they're a bit fiddly, aren't they?
Yeah, little cheese papery sleeve here. And that looks like it might be a test pressing because it's not on a conventional label. But there we have it. Over to you. We'll hand that one through. 45s abound today.
45s are coming out in droves.
We are listening to 45s. This next one is something very obscure, interesting. It's from Talent City, which is Channel 9.
Yes, that's right.
And it says on this note, all recorded works emanating from Sound Citadel, Talent City, and produced inside Australia. So we've got the big Australian stamp on this, directed by Bob King Crawford. So I'd be keen to know a little bit more about Mr. Crawford, because he turns up in all the... He had obviously an association with Planet, evidently a producer.
Indeed.
And... yes, so here we go. At the bottom here it says, and remember, all tracks lead to Talent City. So Channel 9 are really putting their first foot forward.
Under Frank Packer. So Frank Packer, weren't they?
Oh, indeed. They tried it probably at this time. So anyhow, just to further flesh out the picture, this is called Dixieland Jazz Party, with the excitement of the Australian All-Stars. And it doesn't give us any more information about who the Australian All-Stars are, but it does say they feature Alec Hutchinson on the clarinet, and these records are made in 1961. Right. And extracts from the Dixieland Football Party are included on this record. Okay. And it goes on to say, we took what are considered the 8 tracks of Australian jazz recorded and issued them in this album, and we did this to prove a point. Right, here we go. This is a disclaimer. Most people, when you mention or try to compare Australian with overseas jazz, claim A, they are trying to copy somebody else, B, they don't sound as polished as overseas groups, C, you can pick the sound of Australian musicians playing jazz. It lacks excitement. That's what they say.
Taking it head on, aren't they?
They certainly are. They're making a strong case. So it says here, and this is the subtext, it says, next time you meet one of these gentlemen gentlemen, play this disc, then ask if he had thought it was an all-Australian band.
That's putting it out there, isn't it?
It is. It's a revulsion against the cultural cringe.
Oh, yes, that's a head-on confrontation.
It is. No cultural cringe evident on this record. So we'll go with the Dixieland Jazz Party, and I don't know what to start with.
Side 1, track 1.
Side 1, track 1 sounds like a good idea, although it is a wee dock and time.
Oh, no.
Don't worry about that. No,
Oh,
don't
dear.
worry. See what they do with it.
Well, it could be interesting.
No, it's a challenge.
We'll take the challenge. Right. So we'll hear a wee dock and dice, and maybe we'll follow on with one or two other tracks.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
And yes, here we go. Collector's note. It says on the label, first release of 250 pressings. So there we have
there you go.
A special edition.
Yeah, you've done very
so,
well.
we'll just have a listen.
250. There's probably 249 sitting in someone's garage.
I expect that might be the case, but never the mind. Let's have a listen to the Dixieland Jazz Party. All right, we got there. That
nice
was
bunch of recordings with the
Australian All-Stars.
All-Stars, yes.
Indeed, yes. And I have to say, we really don't know who this group is, but there's evidently a backstory there. And it says on the front, a frightening beat of wailing jazz at which the mind boggles. So say no more.
Indeed.
That sums it up. So, but it would be good to know who the musicians were and what the full story, because it's obviously a part of some advertising hype there.
Under the banner of Channel 9,
That's right.
Talent City. Yeah.
That's it.
I believe that to be the case anyway. Talent City.
Talent City at Channel 9. So, that was most interesting. An unusual rarity there. I have not seen a Talent City 45 before. I'll pass that over to you, Jamie.
They were a good full-blooded band, weren't they?
Indeed.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, excellent playing. Here we go.
Here's something else a bit different.
An advertising feature for a certain drink.
Yes, indeed.
Everything goes better with
something. Yes, the unreal thing, it says here. So I'm sure everyone will read between the lines as we play this recording.
And it's Brian Cadd.
It's Brian Cadd, Mr. Axiom himself. And it was probably recorded at AAV. I think he did most of his records at AAV.
Was he Sydney-based, Brian, or was he down here?
I thought he was here.
He probably was, yeah.
He's a Melbourne guy. He was.
Right, okay, so yes, it probably was AAV.
Yeah, I saw him at Mr. A's 90th birthday. He did a feature.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, look, we'll...
There's a date from the early 70s.
Yeah, okay, well, it sounds good. So we'll just have a listen to this, and we have no connection with the products mentioned on this.
No. We are not a commercial station.
Not at all, not in the least. So anything that's represented here is quite abstract to our...
Indeed.
Our designs. In the groove.
It's the real thing. Coke is. When you feel it inside. Coca-Cola. There's one thing you can't hide. It's the real thing. It's worth the time to look for real things. Coke has real life. And find what real life can bring. It's Coke for the taste of your life. That's the way it is with a bottle of Coke, and the way it will stay. What the world wants today is the real thing. Coca-Cola is Coke.
It's the real thing. Cookie. That's the way it should be. Coca-Cola. What the world wants to see is the real thing. People want to find life's good things. Coke has real life. See what real life can bring. It's Coke for the taste of your life. That's the way it is. With a bottle of Coke. And the way it will stay. What the world wants today is the real thing. Coca-Cola is Coke.
It's a real thing in the back of your mind, what you're hoping to find. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. That's the way it should be. Coca-Cola, I want to see. Baby, it's a real thing.
Okay, so we just heard about The Real Thing, whatever that is.
Maybe we should play the other side.
We could hear the side 2 of The Real Thing. And as far as I'm concerned, The Real Thing is Brian Cadd, who is performing on that recording, and an unknown female singer who we're trying to work out. It doesn't give us any information.
Doesn't tell us.
But obviously a collage of different stylistic approaches to exploring The Real Thing.
Interesting, from an educative perspective.
Yes, indeed. We're educating here and listening to different stylistic elements.
So we have,
as they say. Yeah. Let's hear some more of The Real Thing.
Side 2.
Side 2. This is VK3SL.
It's the real thing in the back of your mind. What you're hoping to find is the real thing. It's the real thing. That's the way it should be. Coca-Cola. What the world wants to see is the real thing. People want to find life's real thing. Coca's real life. See what real life can bring. It's Coke for the taste of your life. That's the way it is. And the way it will stay. What the world wants today is the real thing. Coca-Cola is Coke. It's the real thing in the back of your mind. Look around and you'll find all the real things. It's the real thing. That's the way it should be. What the world wants to see is the real thing. It's worth the time to look for real things. Coca's real life. And find what real life can bring. It's Coke for the taste of your life. That's the way it is. With a bottle of Coke. And the way it will stay. If what you want today is the real thing. Coca-Cola is Coke.
It's the real thing in the back of your mind. What you're hoping to find is the real thing. It's the real thing that makes it really worthwhile. You can tell by your smile you found the real thing.
There we are, Brian Cadd there, and singing those commercials. Not sure who the woman singer was, but that would date from about 1971, 72.
Yeah, early 70s in variety of styles there.
Maybe
and,
73.
Probably recorded at Armstrong Audio Visual.
Indeed.
As they were. And, I still haven't quite worked out what the real thing is.
No, I can't imagine what it might be.
And I'll probably spend the rest of my days trying to work out what the... It might have something to do with 42
well, that's the answer to everything.
That's true.
Yes. Well, maybe the real thing isn't the answer to everything, but it becomes all a bit intractable, doesn't it?
I'm not sure I want to know the real thing. I think I might need some sort of hypothetical thing.
Yes, a different real thing.
A different real thing.
All right, so...
I don't mind a bit of mixture with the real thing
yes,
either.
Yes, that's right. Oh, yes, indeed. All right, so we have a BBC
Now we go to
feature.
something totally different. Back a bit to the jazz era, and we're going to hear a program from about 1944 with Arthur Young and Reginald Forsyth. I think that's Forsyth, isn't it? Reginald Forsyth.
Yep.
And both piano players. Arthur Young, of course, came out here in the 50s and was involved with Channel 9, with the orchestra and so forth.
He headed up, I think, the Channel 9 Orchestra
Yes, he did.
for a long time.
Yes.
And was highly respected, and rightly so.
Yeah.
He did indeed. Now, I'm just trying to think. I think he also recorded with Al Bowley, Arthur Young.
Did he really?
And the orchestra, yes. In America, there was was it in America? A couple of Deckers, Arthur. I'm sure that's right. I've got them at home.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a very interesting program. Now, there's some other interesting people that turn up on this that you'll hear as the program progresses. And this is on two 12-inch BBC 78s, because in those days BBC discs were not on 16-inch, but they were 12-inch discs. And each program, like a 30-minute program, would be made up over maybe 5 discs, as opposed to a couple of 16-inch discs.
Okay.
And then they moved to 16-inch discs around about 1946. I don't know why they did that, but that's the way that they originally came out for the overseas transcription service.
Okay.
And I think this is episode 3, is it, or something like that, of series 4?
I've got it queued up, so yes. I take that on board. What
Yeah.
we'll do, we'll try and sort of present this in a pseudo-authentic fashion. So, because I've got two 78 tables here, we'll see if we can line them up.
Well
And,
done. Yes.
And we'll go with the 15-minute timestamps. So we'll.
And this has a very
flip this
nice
plate.
jazz element too that you'll hear as the program progresses.
Oh,
Excellent.
well, it
Thank
sounds great. So this is a true rarity, because a lot of BBC material was to be destroyed upon playing. They had there was the disclaimer that went with their records. So things like
Yes,
this.
they weren't supposed to be kept.
Indeed.
Like so much of the ABC material, of course.
Well, that's right. That's another story.
sad
Story for
story.
another day.
It is. All right. BBC Fair from 1940.
About 45.
Okay. Let's have a listen.
Wartime.
Come on, G up.
Arthur Young and Reginald Forsyth go to town on 2 pianos, with Elizabeth Welsh to sing and Stefan Grappelli to play. And so, to town on 2 pianos.
To town on 2 pianos, we're on our way. To town on 2 pianos, it's time to play. Hit them in the treble, hit them in the bass. Put each black and white note in its proper place. To town on 2 pianos, you can't go wrong. To town on 2 pianos, let's get along. Let those harmonies ring out, those melodies swing out. Here we're on our way on to baby grand.
And here's Roy Plumley to deal the hand.
Hello, customers. Well, let me describe to you the animated scene in the studio before we get to work on the program. There's Elizabeth Welsh, charming and gracious, carelessly draping her furs across the back of a chair and wondering whether to buy them. There's Stefan Grappelli scratching Stefan Loves Myrtle with a nail file on the polished mahogany of his violin. Our carefree pianists, Arthur Young and Reginald Forsyth, huddled at their pianos, morose and unshaven, and smoking inexpensive cigars tossed to them by a kindly music publisher. And our producer, Edgar Blatt, white-faced and gibbering in the control room, being held back by his engineer friend from hurling himself through the glass to get at us. Yes, it's a gay, glorious, glamorous scene, and it doesn't get much gayer as Arthur and Reggie open the show with Great Day. 350 years ago, William Shakespeare wrote some plays. For those plays, he wrote some lyrics. These songs got along all right as they were all this time, and then Arthur Young got hold of them and set them to swing time. Credit where credit is due, Arthur made a very tasteful job, as you can judge, as Elizabeth Welsh sings, "It was a lover and his lass." Words by William Shakespeare, music by Arthur Young.
With a hey and a ho and a hey nonny no, met o'er the green cornfields did pass in the springtime, the only merry ring time, where birds do sing hey ding a ding ding, sweet lovers love the spring. With a hey and a ho and a hey nonny no, these pretty country folk did lie in the springtime, the only merry ring time, when birds do sing hey ding a ding ding, sweet lovers love the spring. Sweet lovers love the spring.
Following our usual formula, and we got away with it so far, that famous violinist Stefan Grappelli joins that infamous pianist Arthur Young. Incidentally, Arthur is out of the army now. You can't get away with wrong notes for long there. Arthur and Stefan play a tune of their own called Promenade. One of the miracles of broadcasting is the way in which you, as the listener, without leaving your fireside, can be taken to theatres, fights, football games, and big events of every kind. And through the skill of the commentators describing the scene, you really don't miss very much. In fact, it's practically as good as being on the spot. Anyway, that's the theory. And for our party piece today, we're going to take you over to the Snappy Dome Theatre, London, to hear an excerpt from Mr. Noel Coward's new play, This Blithe Breed. Your commentator will be Major Lancelot Hayho. Over to the Snappy Dome Theatre. Well, what's this red light thing? Does that mean I start? Oh, I do now. Right. We'll take this thing off my foot. Good evening, everybody. I'm speaking to you from the box. Well, actually, it's the upper box on the right or left, really. I mean, it depends which way we look at it, the box, because, I mean, obviously from the stage, it's more or less on the right, but from the audience point of view, it's practically on the left or vice versa. Anyway, that's where I am, in this box at the Snappy Dome Theatre in the heart of London's West End. Well, I say to the heart, it's actually a little to the left of the heart. That's if you're looking from the north, or it's slightly to the right if you're the other way up, if you see what I mean. Well, as I was saying, I'm in this box thing at the Snappy Dome, and you're going to hear an excerpt from Noel Coward's new play, his screamingly funny new play. Well, it's more of a comedy, really, called This Blithe Breed, which is being presented here at the Snappy Dome Theatre in the heart, or rather near the knuckle of London's West End. And you've been very fortunate in coming up just in the middle of one of the funniest scenes. One of the funniest scenes in the play, really. I've been chuckling my head off here and served the audience. We're all really chuckle-headed. The scene that's going on now down there is the Mayfair flat of a couple of people called Miranda and Lysander. I think that's what they're called. It's a bit dark to start looking at programs now. And this is Act 2, I think. Well, I'm almost sure, because, well, at any rate, we've had one interval, and a remarkably good interval it was. We all had a really wonderful time chuckling our heads off, and I know you would too if you'd been here. You'd have chuckled your heads off. Well, the play, by the way, this particular play, whatever it's called, that's going on now, is presented, I want to make clear, so they said, by Mr. Sol Zunk in association with Slotch and Gertrude Enterprises by permission of Rhodotonian Rights Limited and by arrangement with Carey Street Promotions, Inc. And now we come to the cast. The cast, there's the girl who's playing Miranda, for example. She's a new one. Her name is Sweet Felicity Arkwright, and this is her first appearance in the heart or near the heart of London's West End. And really, she's very, 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 I mean, if only she could get the hold on her audience that she obviously has got on the management here, she would be very, very good indeed. And I do think. Oh, she just said a very, very, very funny line. Very funny, very funny indeed. He's just hit her with an ironing board. I think they're supposed to be married or something. At least I hope so. And as I say, you're awfully lucky to come over here to the Snappy Dome Theatre where I'm sitting in this box, wherever it is. This extremely funny scene that's going on in this play, whatever it's called. It's making the audience here laugh. One might almost say chuckle their heads off. And I know you would too if only all of you were in this box. There would be such a crowd of us, wouldn't it? And now I'm afraid it no, it's really fun. And I'm afraid it's time to leave the Snappy Dome Theatre that's such a long way from the heart where you've been listening to that very funny that's going on down there and return you to wherever it is you ought to go. So, so it's goodbye from all of us here, wherever we are, where we've all been chuckling our heads off. We have really. For our closing number, a free-for-all. Everybody carves themselves a slice of a Gershwin tune, Who Cares?
Who cares if the sky cares to fall on the sea? Who cares what banks fail in Yonkers, so long as you've got a kiss that conquers? Why should I care? Life is one long jubilee, so long as I care for you and you care for me.
Whichever way you look at it, a quarter of an hour is only 15 minutes, and it's time for us to say goodbye. Our producer has just entered the studio carrying 5 envelopes containing our money and has gone down under sheer weight of numbers. This, by the way, is the last program in the present series, and we're just going to polish off the closing theme and then start the familiar trudge round looking for work. This is Roy Plumley on behalf of all the gang saying goodbye for now.
You've been listening to Arthur Young and Reginald Forsyth going to town on 2 pianos with Elizabeth Welsh to sing and Stefan Grappelli to play. The program was introduced by Roy Plumley and produced by Edgar Blatt. This specially transcribed program is distributed by the London Transcription Service, the BBC.
That announcement at the end.
Yes, indeed. A stamp
very
of
rare program
authenticity.
there with Arthur Young, Reginald Forsyth, with Stefan Grappelli.
Wonderful to hear him.
And Elizabeth Welsh.
That was superb.
Yeah, remarkable. And from Perth, ABC Perth.
It came out of ABC Perth, yes.
Wow,
there you go.
gosh.
And
And
it was an announcer that worked there at the time, took them home rather than being destroyed, and I eventually got hold of them about 5 months ago.
oh, wow.
How did you become
A
aware?
collection of them.
How
Oh,
did you
tremendous.
find out?
I heard about his daughter trying to sell them, and I chased it up.
Oh, good for you.
Well done.
Well, you've saved some remarkable heritage there because there's very few BBC transcriptions survive because they were all ordered to be
They were,
destroyed.
yes.
That was the they had to be smashed upon use, and that was a part of the contractual
Yes, indeed it
obligation.
was. And I 3DB was the had the commercial license here in Australia, and I heard stories from engineers that worked there at the time where they had to go outside and they'd take piles and piles of BBCs out with these big 4-gallon drums, and they used to stand there with a hammer
Smash them.
smashing them because they had to.
Because that was a part of it.
That was part of the obligation.
Yeah.
They used to have an expiry date on the disc,
Yeah, yeah.
and then at that point the disc had to be destroyed.
I think they had to.
heartbreak, isn't
It is heartbreaking. I mean, they must have had to supply evidence.
Oh, indeed, yes, that's right.
That's the.
It's all, it all did down to contracts. Yeah.
Thankfully,
yes,
some people didn't do that, but
Well,
majority did.
a lot, to, as you say, to do with people who work there taking stuff home.
Yeah.
Indeed. So we're very fortunate that some items have survived,
Yes.
particularly the earlier material.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that
the
was a
40s and
ripper.
50s.
To have Stefan Grappelli
Indeed.
away from his
Hot club of
European
friends,
mates,
yes.
or other people that he.
Indeed.
You heard Emmanuel. He did was closely attached to him.
Yes,
as well.
indeed.
Yes.
They recorded extensively together.
They did,
Yehudi
they
and
did.
Mr. Grapp.
Away from all of that, he still sounded really good, didn't
Yeah,
he?
he did.
Indeed.
Wonderful. Now, that was really special. Thanks for sharing that. That's a one-off. I mean, there's probably no other copy of that around.
Probably not. Now, this next program is very unique too. Now, what's sad about it, we're talking about discs that survive and don't survive, is I only have the second half of this show.
Okay.
Right. Well,
But it's a magnificent program. I really wish I had the whole thing. It's called Music from the Movies with Guess Who?
Oh.
Yes.
Drum roll?
No. Louis Levy.
Oh,
wow.
It's the Louis Levy program.
Oh,
my
yeah,
gosh.
Gee, from the movies from England.
Yes.
Yes, it doesn't have Janet Lynn on it by any chance. Probably a bit
I
after.
don't think so.
Okay, right.
But we'll have a listen. We're
Yeah.
going to hear the last half of the show, parts 5, 6, 7 and 8.
Oh, look, this will be special. Louis Levy on the
yes, it's
Gourmet
magnificent.
British
Levy
Symphony.
Orchestra, yes.
Yes, indeed. All right, let's have a listen. This is a great way to start
In the
winding up.
program.
To wind up. Tuning in, vk3sl.
The film Firefly displayed a fine collection of musical gems which originated from the pen of that grand old music master, Rudolf Frimmel. His chansonette was adapted for the film and found fresh flame and new delight when sung by Alan Jones as the Donkey Serenade. Today, Louis Levy adds to its brilliance with this orchestral setting. The magic art of Walt Disney makes a direct appeal to young and old alike. The full impact of his superb technique and creative genius was felt for the first time in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. With joy in her heart and a smile in her voice, Maria Pirelli slips into the role of Snow White to sing I'm Wishing.
It's so sad and lonely, wishing well, longing for someone never seen. Make him love me only, wishing well. Won't you grant this favor to me? I'm wishing for the one I love to find me today. I'm hoping and I'm dreaming of the nice things he'll say. Tell me, wishing well, will my wish come true with your magic spell? Won't you tell my loved one what to do? I'm wishing for the one I love to find me today. Tell me, wishing well, will my wish come true with your magic spell? I'm wishing for the one I love to find me today.
Finally, we recall the dainty charm with which Lily Pons played the leading role in That Girl from Paris. The masculine vigor and blonde good looks of Jean Raymond were a perfect foil for the petite and brunette chic of the famous coloratura, and the romantic gaiety of the film is recaptured in the music of our closing selection. Louis Levy features Jack Cooper singing The Call to Arms and gives Maria Pirelli the lilting waltz song Seal It With a Kiss. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a musical memory of That Girl from Paris.
your share of love, for soon you will hear the call to arms. Someone who longs for you will sing dreamy songs for you the night you obey the call to arms. You may say you're blasé, but it's not the case when you're face to face in a warm embrace. You will be tender too and gladly surrender to the one who will give the call to arms.
So ends this week's presentation of Music from the Movies, sung by Beryl Davis, Jack Cooper, Benny Lee, the chorus, and today's guest, Maria Pirelli, and played by Louis Levy and his Gaumont British Studio Orchestra. The program was written and produced by Elizabeth Tyson. This is your announcer, Harry Middleton, saying goodbye until next time you hear...
gentlemen.
I'm so sorry. What a wonderful night, but what a
And there we have it. That's our selection. That's the music of Louis Levy on BBC Transcription Records, rare as hen's teeth, because nearly all of them have been destroyed. So
here's our last record.
Yes, we've got to finish off. We finished off with where we started. No, almost.
Yes, we are.
Oh,
Joel Shaw.
Yes, we've got the Joel Shaw.
Now, is this How Am I Doing or something?
It's called the Scat Song.
Yeah, the Scat Song. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll have the Scat Song to go out.
Oh, this sounds like a great track there.
Get out of here.
Yes,
that's right.
So we'll just get this one queued up. Well, I'll just take a moment.
Do you need to take any action yourself?
Action, as in
all good.
Yeah,
in terms of the outside speakers.
Oh no, they're all turned off now. So
I know that, but so
yes, I know. We just had some we were enjoying the music of Louis Levy and a rather averse
comments. Yes.
And
I just wondered if you need to deal with any of those right now in terms of the complainants.
Oh, I hope we don't have any.
No.
Okay.
I'm sure we'll be fine.
It would have been a little bit loud outside.
Yeah.
Yes, we were relishing in that music, and I switched the speakers on, forgetting that we turned the.
Oh, did you just do it just then?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It was only.
I had mistakenly thought you had them on all night.
No. Just the last 10 minutes.
Oh, jeez.
So.
Okay.
No, we're just indulging in the sounds of Louis Levy, and I switched on the
just to get
the other speakers, and I didn't
realise
realise
the spirit of the fullness of sound.
We're enjoying the sounds of Louis Levy in great gusto.
So the whole valley just got to hear a bit of Louis Levy.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. That's right.
So yes, as sometimes these things happen.
They do.
But, yeah. Well, there we have it, fellas. Well,
what a wonderful evening.
It's been marvellous. It's been terrific hearing all of these
really,
rarities.
Time's really flown, hasn't it?
It has.
Always does.
3:30.
Half 3.
Yay.
I think this is a record.
It might well be. Well, there's been lots of records tonight.
Lots of records. That's right.
Indeed, yes.
And we're going to finish up where we started. We're going to hear some Mr.
We're going to hear Joel Shaw and his orchestra on a Summit record. And this one's called the Scat Song.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's where we'll finish. And gentlemen, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. We've enjoyed every moment of it, and I've been just completely immersed in a parallel universe of musical wonders. It's been really good.
The pleasure's mine. It's like Christmas
thank
coming
you.
over here every time for me. I really enjoy being able to share and play bits and pieces that I come across.
Oh, it's been terrific. Thank
you to both of you from my perspective,
Yes.
making it all possible. I guess special thanks to Jamie.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Jamie. It's just great to hear these musical marvels, rare recordings.
I look forward to doing it all again.
Yep, we look forward to it too. So, we'll finish up now with something else from the archives, Mr. Scholl and his orchestra.
Indeed.
The Scat Song.
Yes, thank you. vk3sl saying cheerio.
When your sweetie tells you that it's gonna be all okay, just scat and skeet and hidey-hi and scat-a-la-la-la-day. When you feel like shouting, advertise it in this way. Just scat and skeet and hidey-hi and scat-a-la-la-la-day. Say, don't you give a hang which words you use at a time. Sing that silly language without reason or rhyme. When you face the preacher, there is only one thing to say. Just scat and skeet and hidey-hi and scat-a-la-la-la-day. be as tough as they seem. Though you think you're dying, there's a long life ahead of you. Just scat and skeet and hide